So now we're going to talk specifically about the policy, y'all. Why is this so important? Why? Why is this so important? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And we emphasize this so much. Okay. There's two reasons why this is so important. One, you can connect it to your family trust. The beneficiary, I'm going to put this as a beneficiary, y'all. Okay. Is going to be the family trust. The family trust beneficiary is going to be your kids or the next generation, whatever that it is, whatever your beneficiary is. Okay. That's the one part. The second part is what we like to call infinite banking. Okay. This is the second reason why putting money into your insurance policy is super beneficial for you. Okay. Super beneficial. All right. So I'm going to break down this infinite banking side because we've probably abused why you need a family trust. And I'm pretty sure you all know that you need a family trust. But I don't think we emphasize some strategies that you can leverage in regards to infinite banking. Okay. So I'm going to give you some strategies in regards to infinite banking. All right. Oh, I said infinite strategies. I'm weak. Infinite banking strategies. All right. So I'm going to give you a couple. I'm not going to give you too much. I'm going to save that for a bit later. Maybe have a different call on the detailed of like the tactics wise of getting this done. I will give you the tactics on how to connect your insurance with your family trust real quick, just so people know. Contact your family trust. I'm sorry, contact your life insurance policy. Let them know that you're trying to do a beneficiary transfer or transfership or whatever it's called, whatever they name it. But they're going to send you a form via email so that you can put whatever information you need from your family trust in that document. Okay. And in your family trust, in the beneficiary section, you're going to put the policy number. You're going to put the name of the policy, and actually we're gonna call it what it is, insure. Okay. Um, and there's one more thing that I just can't remember off the top of my head. I feel like it's the insure, the policy number. That may be it. Insure policy number. Yeah. So you're gonna put those two things in the beneficiary section of your family trust. Okay. So this is the form. You want to get a form, you got to call them to get that form. They're going to email it to you. And then you're going to pretty much exchange information. You're going to say, okay, the policy is going to get this information of the trust, and the trust is going to get this information of the policy. And then that's how you connect the two. Okay. Very simple. It's actually the most simplest process, probably out of all of them. Out of everything that we taught you, that's the easiest part. That's the easiest part. Okay. So the infinite banking strategies, we're gonna do one dealing with credit, which is one reason why we emphasize credit. The other reason in regards to borrowing. Okay. And then the last reason is investing. Oh, actually, we're gonna talk about it. Nah, that's it. That's all that is. We're gonna simplify it like that. Okay. So credit, borrowing, investing. Okay. Why is this important? Well, we know why credit is important. We have a whole different side of this business in regards to credit. Okay. So you got to have credit. So this is very simple. So in the credit side, and you can do this on the personal, the business, and the trust. Okay. You want to get funding on all of these. Get funding on all of them. Just take and keep the bag. Okay. On all of them. And what you're going to do is you're going to deposit it into the policy. You're going to, well, withdraw it, manufacture, spend it, liquidate it. If you don't know how to do that, we got that in the course. Okay. Liquidate it. And if you're wondering what site, you can use Plastique to liquidate your credit cards. If it's a line of credit, it's already in your bank account. So you don't need to do that. It's there. You can just take it out whenever. But you can use funding on all of these different ways. Okay. And I forgot even about corporate. You can use corporate as well. That's another way. And put that into your policy. And then you're going to borrow against it. Let's say you put 100K in there. All right. Mind you, this has nothing to do with you adding this into your bank account. This is just using strictly business, not including or strictly funding, excuse me. This is not including the business. Okay. The business putting inside of your policy is just added bonus. That's just like even better. Like instead of this being 100K, it'd be 115K, right? We're just going to use the funding as an example, right? Let's say each one of these you got 25K of, which is 100K. And now you can only borrow 80 to 85% of the policy. So that means, let's say we borrowed 80K from the policy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to invest. Now, what to invest in is personally up to you. I believe that you can either start a business or buy a business. Preferably, I would prefer to buy. But with 80K, you can buy a business easily. You could buy $1 million business or at least a multi six-figure business with 80K. Right? So let's say you bought it. Let's say you started a business, and then we'll talk about buying. Right? Let's say you started a business. When you start a business, and I'm only going to tell you this from our experience, okay? I'm going to tell you from our experience from starting and buying. We prefer you get into a service-based business if you're going to start a business, okay? Service-based, and you can go product-based. I prefer service-based because if you go product-based, then you have inventory. And inventory can be expensive and it can be a waste, okay? Now, with service-based business, you have no inventory and you have no overhead, okay? And I mean overhead as in like major expenses. And I'm not going to say no, but limited, okay? Limited overhead, unless you're just at scale, right? As you, of course, grow at scale, then, of course, your expenses grow at scale, okay? But when you start off, I would suggest a service-based business and because you have really little to no overhead. Now, the reason why I say service-based or what type of industry would I say that's service-based is, and it doesn't even matter if it's product-based as well, is I want you to get into the digital space. It's a growing market, and there's different types of digital spaces you can get into. You can get into the online space, which is like leveraging social media, which is what we do. You can get into the e-commerce space. You can get into the drop shipping space. Let me see. What else? So many different things. What have we done? You can get into the blogging space. I'm gonna just start off with those. Online space, you could start for free. E-commerce, you probably have to put maybe $100 to $500 down, maybe more. Same with drop shipping. Blogging, you can start for free, right? And if you want to really scale up faster with both of these businesses, I would maybe invest 100 to 500. Okay, if you want to start up quickly. But if you just want to start off for free, you can start those for free, literally, by just posting content on social media. Okay, so this is starting a business. Like this is just the absolute basics of starting a business. All right. Now, in regards to buying a business, that's a whole process, which I'm not going to really get into the details of right now. But you can buy a business with that 80K. And you're probably wondering, well, how does the 80K come into this service part? Right. I meant to say this. This 80K with all these right here can go in towards ads, paid ads. Okay. Paid ads. Or if you're like, hey, you know what? You could probably just leverage one of the credit cards and pay for the ads if you want to do the shortcut route. But the key thing here is I would rather go through this route right here because you have more compound interest. You are now borrowing against your policy. You don't have to pay it back if you don't want to because it comes out your death benefit. With credit cards, you have to heavily pay it back. You get what I'm saying? Now, of course, you have 100,000 that you have withdrawn from it, right? But the thing is that when you're investing into a business, this is why I say buying a business or starting a business with large amounts of capital that you can use to scale over a quicker time span is better, right? So let's say you do 80K. There's different ways to buying a business. 80K or leverage buyout. Leverage buyout means that you don't use any money. And what that means is that the company pays you to buy their business. So what they'll do is they'll take out a loan, right? They'll take out a loan and then they'll pay you to buy it. And what you just have to do is you pay a certain percentage every single year back to the company. But picture this. Picture this. Let's say you paid them 80,000 and they did also take out a loan. Let's say they did both. Okay. You paid them 80,000 and that company is worth 500K a year. They make 500K a year gross and they make 250K a year net after taxes, after expenses, after everything. Okay. You put 80K to make 250K. 250,000 divided by 12 is $20,000 a month. If they did a leverage buyout, the percentage is going to be usually between 10 and 20%. Let's say if they sold it to you for 500K, let's do the math real quick. 500K minus 80K is 420K that they took out. And it's usually not even that much. It really depends. Let's say it's usually like 5 to 20, 5% to 20%. It really just depends on them, honestly. But let's say you're making 20K a month, which is 250K a year. You're only paying, let's say you're paying max 20%. 20,000 times 20%. Actually, it's 250,000 times 20% a year. You're paying, what's it, times 20%. You're paying 50K back to the loan, which means net you're making 200K a year. 200K divided by 12 is $16,000. I'm going to round up to $17,000 per month, all because you invested $80,000. This is the real play, y'all. I know it's a lot of numbers, but like this is how business works when it comes to buying, right? And this is like the very beginner's level of understanding this, right? The whole key thing here is that you did a 3-step process. You use credit, and you don't have to. You could just use your personal money that you're investing into your life insurance policy. It's just that you'll usually have to wait between 2 and 5 years to be able to really do something with it if you're on the personal side of things. But if you're on a business side of things and you're executing, this is why we like leveraging credit first, because when you get credit first, you put it into your life insurance policy and then you start investing into a business. It's just that this one takes a bit longer to establish, but it's so fruitful. We've seen people with stacks of credit cards of $1 million, not knowing how to do half the things that I'm showing you on this call that you all invested in, of course. But you get your credit funding, you put it into your insurance policy, you withdraw 80 to 85% of it and invest it into a business. Picture this, y'all. Remember, we talked about, we took out 100,000 from the credit cards, but we make $200,000 a year. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to use that 100K that's owed, and we're going to pay the minimum balance. So guess how much that might be a month? If it's 100K that we owe back, they may charge us, let's say over a 36-month period, and let's say it's like 8% interest. Let's say 100K divided by 36 months, and they may do more than that. That's about 2.8K a month. Let's see. And I've seen people do 60 months, but let's say 36 months. 2,800 times 8% interest is $224 times 36 months. Well, we'll just put 224 because that's really what it is. 2,800 plus 224. That's about 3K, y'all. We make 17K a month and we're paying 3K towards the balance, which leaves us with 14K a month. Put a 2 in the chat if you can live off 14K a month. This is really how it goes. So now we have no debt because we're literally paying it off as we are putting money, as we're making money. And then guess what? We're going to do the cash flow banking system off of the yearly income that we're making here. So that means we're replenishing back into the policy. Y'all, it's like a whole cycle back and forth. This is how people continue to be wealthy. But this is also why building a family business is important, because doing all this by yourself can also be a lot. So what do people do in these type of situations if you're making 250K a year or you have a 500K business, really, right? And this is like on the high end. I don't see people paying 2.8K a month. Okay. I really don't see that. They may pay 1,000 max. They may pay a couple hundred if they extend it long enough. Right. But the key thing here is you would have a CIO within your family, which is called a chief investment officer, or another person is called a wealth strategist. These are people that you would hire internally within your family to manage all of this and all of this and all of this. They would be managing this, right? And maybe a trust manager. You could even go that way if you really want to. Now, I wouldn't probably suggest a trust manager at 500K. I'd probably wait till you make minimum between 2 and 10 million a year before you get a trust manager. But you can at least use an agency to manage these assets, or you could hire one of your family members to do it for you. Give them a role, pay them 2 to 5K a month or 5 to 10K a month, however much money you want to pay them. It really doesn't matter. They could honestly be within this company budget. It doesn't even have to come off the top of this 14K, and pay them to manage your assets if they are obviously qualified. And they would do this system. And you would have a daily or every other day call about where your assets are going, or monthly call about where your assets are going, or quarterly call of where your assets are going. Or you could hire you a CFO that probably would be a bit more into your like, forget the CIO. You'd probably get these at between 2 to 10 million. An agency or a CFO you could probably go for right now at where you're at. If you were to get a company like this, I'd probably go the agency route because it's a bit cheaper. Probably around like 2 to 3K a month. A CFO would probably charge between 5K to 10K a month. But they would have everyone. A CFO would have a tax strategist, a wealth strategist, a bookkeeper, a tax preparer. They'd have everybody under their belt. You're hiring a CFO to pretty much do everything on the finance side. Like, you no longer have to deal with finance anymore. You no longer have to do with payroll. You no longer have to do a lot of different things. The agency is limited. It can only do so much. You probably will still be tapped into the finance side at some point. Okay. This is why I kind of wanted to break down the cash flow banking, the infinite banking strategy, and how it actually all ties in together with your family business. This is like the bigger picture of how to run or get started from scratch of a family business. Like, if you're starting from scratch, this is how I would do it. Okay.